Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Jamar. Today's episode 140, and we're interviewing Jacquie C. How you doing this morning, Jacquie?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to do this. So let's dive in here. Tell me
Okay.
about your childhood.
Oh God.
Start from the beginning.
I, Lord have mercy. I don't even know how to begin. Well, I guess it could be. My mom was a raging alcoholic, and from my earliest childhood, I can remember it was me taking care of everybody, and I'm talking as a small child, like 4 and 5. And my mom worked the bars, and we had grandparents that helped out a lot, but my grandmother had rheumatoid arthritis, so they couldn't do much. Well, my mom started going to the bars and having me staying with my sister. And one night she didn't come home, and I got scared, and I called my grandpa, and my grandpa come and got us. And the next day, what had happened is my mom got put in jail. So uh, that night when we got home, my mom beat the holy crap out of me. Told me if I ever called my grandfather again, that it'd be hell for me. So this went on until I was like 8.5, and I'm from Michigan, and we moved into a state park. It was me, my mom, and her best friend and her kids, and they laid out drunk all the time. And one night, my grandfather showed up, and I had gotten into a fight with my mom, and she had punished me and threw me in the tent. And my grandpa was like, "Well, I'm gonna take her with me." So we leave, and about 3 or 4 days later, my mom's best friend calls and says, "Where's Chris at? She still ain't back." And my grandpa was like, "Well, where's Jeannie?" which is my little sister. And they're like, "Well, we have her." And my grandpa goes, "Well, I'm gonna come pick her up." And she was like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" And she says, "Chris, she'll show up." Well, 3 weeks go by, and nobody heard from my mom, and they ended up throwing our stuff out that we had at that campground. And a state cop shows up one morning, knock at the door, and he come in and he asked for my grandma and grandpa, and asked us if we would leave. So my aunt took me and my sister outside, and I already knew. And my mom had got killed. She was hit by a car the night that I left. And she laid in a morgue for 3 weeks and was unidentified because she didn't carry no ID or nothing on her. So going into that, so I went from taking care of my mom and my sister, who were alcoholics, to taking care of my grandmother and my grandpa and my aunt. My grandpa worked all day long. And like I said, my grandmother had arthritis really bad, and she couldn't walk or nothing. So it was a pill thing now. Went from alcohol to now pills every day. Be afraid to walk home because afraid
The alcohol and the pills. You mean you were taking alcohol and pills?
I wasn't taking them. My grandmother was.
Your grandmother was, okay.
What? But I'm watching this, as I'm growing up. And I don't know, I was about 12 or 13, and the first thing I tried was marijuana. So, and it was an escape to taking care of everybody at home. And like I said, my grandmother it was terrible. It was every month, all month long. I got to catch my breath for a minute.
Take your time.
I haven't talked about this in a long time. So I guess that's where the drug abuse started. I was about 12. And it just has been downhill ever since then.
So you were 12 when you first started trying marijuana?
Yeah, it started off marijuana, then mescaline, and drinking.
That's a pretty big jump from weed to mescaline. Who introduced you to this stuff?
Friends, it was the early 80s, and everybody was doing it.
Yeah.
And I did it for a long time. And then when I turned 15, I started sneaking out because where my grandmother was sick all the time and I was the one who took care of everybody, I never got to do nothing. So I started sneaking out and getting into trouble and ended up getting pregnant.
At what age?
15. And from there on, you know, I I never really messed with anything after that, after I got pregnant. And but I ended up having 4 kids before I turned 21. And I didn't do no drugs, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything. And me and my fiance, we broke up. And so I needed a job. And lo and behold, I walk into a bar. And well, I think that was the worst mistake of my life, was right there.
What age
And
were you when this happened?
pardon me,
What age were you when you went to the bar for a job?
21.
You were
So from
21.
15 to 21, I really didn't do anything. I was
Okay.
trying to be a mom, trying to do everything different. But when you hide all that stuff, you can't kid yourself. So for the next 10 years, I went full blown into it. I started doing cocaine. I started smoking crack for about 10 years. And in the meantime, my kids were staying with me, staying with my aunt, staying with their dad. So it got pretty bad. And then,
So this all started with that job at the bar you were saying?
yes, yeah, I stayed and worked in them bars for 10 years. It was in a little town in Michigan, and there was a bar on every street corner. So no matter, if I got fired or quit this bar, I could go down and get a job at this bar. Well, then I had an opportunity to move to Kentucky and wanted to get my kids out of there and stuff. So I moved here to Pikeville, Kentucky from Detroit, Michigan, thinking that I was going to get away from everything, move to a little town. And when you think little country towns, you think good things,
Mhm.
big family picnics. And, well, boy, was I wrong. The pills here, I mean, it was a matter of months. And then I was hooked on pills and hooked on them for 10 years. And get off of them, get on Suboxone, and I remarried. I married a guy who was 10 years younger than me. And he started getting into doing the meth. And after coming to Kentucky and started doing pills and stuff, I didn't like speed drugs no more. I wanted to be, down, passed out, not alert to whatever was going on around me. And well, he started staying out all night and not coming home. And by this time, I was 45 years old and I couldn't hang. And I thought I was going to lose my husband. So I started doing meth with him. First, it was smoking it. And then, well, no, it was snorting it and then smoking it. And then I started shooting it.
Real quick,
Eh,
real quick, going back when you were growing up, just to step back for a moment. What was going on with school? Did you have any type of social life? Were you going to school?
Just in school, none whatsoever at home. None,
No social life.
none. And, I think it didn't bother me that much because it was embarrassing anyway, what was going on.
What do you mean to have friends at your house? You don't want them to see
Right,
what's going on?
right, right.
Yeah.
And, even there's so much stuff that I have left out.
Take
But,
your time. This is the place to let it out. Your
right,
your story will help someone.
right. And then I started on that meth though, and I started shooting it. And then within 7 months, I was in the hospital with encarditis and almost dying.
What's that? Encarditis.
It's when you use a needle, and if you keep using them, because I'll just put it out there. People when before meth came here, people were getting high and stuff, but when meth came here, it was a whole new ball game. It really was. You know, when I just don't know how to explain it because I never shot before that, but I know people that did. When you would do an oxy or whatever, and you would shoot it. Now, I never shot oxys or nothing like that. I was so totally against the needle, but an oxy high or whatever, and heroin high, they last so long, like 8 hours. When you do meth, it's like you want to do it all the time, one right after the other, one right after the other. And what happens is needles start getting scarce and you start using your same needle. And a bacteria gets on it, whether it be dust or whatever. When you shoot that, it goes straight to your heart valve and it gives it an infection. And if you don't know that you got it, by the time I got to the hospital, I thought I had the flu. Never in a million years did I ever think it was my heart. And within 5 minutes, they knew I was sick. And he would come in and he would tell me that it was going to go in and repair my heart valve with a robot and this, that, and the other. And 22 days later, it was Christmas Eve, and they took me in to do the surgery. And I woke up. And then after I woke up, I went into cardiac arrest, I guess. But I don't remember none of this because I guess I don't remember waking up. They said I did. So they ended up having to go in and do open heart surgery. And I was sick for a long time. 7 months, I laid in the hospital, couldn't walk, just giving up on life. And I got out. And within 2 months, I was back doing it again. Believe it or not, back doing the same stuff again. Because nothing had changed.
What was
nothing
it like?
Had changed. Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask. It's just going back a little bit. I don't want to skip ahead too far real quick. I want to go back and just say, what was it like raising your kids as being a full-blown drug addict? Because
Well,
I mean, you had a lot of children. It wasn't like you just had one. You said you had 4.
Right. Like I said, it was between my aunt and me and their dad. So I'm just now getting that relationship back with my kids now. So, but
So
I started doing
parts of the week they'd be at the aunts and then the fathers, and then they come back to or would they
well,
be taking them when you?
whenever I wasn't getting high, just put it that way.
Okay.
And then when I got out of the hospital, nothing had changed at home. Everything was still the same. And then when I got home, instead of my husband just being a meth, he was selling it now. So we had all kinds of people over. They were doing heroin, they were doing meth. And here I was on a couch, couldn't walk. So I gave up and started doing it again. And I got put right back into the hospital, same thing. And the doctor told me, he said, I can turn around and not do this surgery. It's up to me. And no one else will touch you because I've already done the surgery. So we was going to do the surgery, and I got scared because they talking about me not being able to make it and all this. So I walked out before they shipped me to Lexington to have this second surgery. And about a week later, I walked into a church, and they were doing Celebrate Recovery. And then from there on, I mean, it's all been good. But like I said, I've just left out so much. There's been sexual abuse.
Well, tell us about it. We have plenty of time, and we want to hear. I mean, if you're willing to talk about it, obviously, if it's something that you can't talk about. But like I said, sharing your story will help people.
I'm trying. I'm just so up and down and all over the board.
Understandable. I know this could be hard. I understand.
My mom's boyfriends. She had a lot of them coming in and out all the time, and they would try to do stuff with me, and I would tell my mom, and she would call me a liar and tell me it was me, and I was just trying to steal her boyfriends. I mean, and this is before I was 10.
Oh.
And she never believed nothing I said. Nothing. I don't know. She just acted like I was the reason that she was like she was, and I wasn't. My mom had a lot of problems too, and honestly, and we'll never know what they was because she never told us. I was a little kid. She's not going to tell me what was going on in her life. So right now, I'm into trying to forgive her for all the stuff that she had done.
Is it hard to forgive her?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because my little sister, she spoiled her and showed her so much love when we were growing up that when my mom died, I, told my grandma and grandpa, I said, I hope things change, and that you guys don't just do whatever my sister wants and start putting a smack down on her. Oh, we won't. Things are going to be different here. And it wasn't. It wasn't no different. But before my grandfather died, I found out that it was just because he couldn't handle her. It was easier to do what she wanted than to sit and argue with her about not wanting it. But to this day, me and my sister don't even have a relationship because of all the stuff. And she's still in active recovery. I mean, she's not in active recovery, she's in active addiction still. But she also has got the same thing that my grandmother had. And she's dealing with that. So I guess ask me questions because I don't, there's just so much in my head. You just don't even know.
So, as a child, what were some of, I mean, so you didn't tell anybody else as far about the sexual abuse? I know you said you told your mom and she didn't believe you, but did you tell anyone else like
I told my
grand
grandpa, like
yeah,
when
but
when it would happen, I would call them, go to a neighbor or something. They would always come and get me. So, but it was no use arguing with my mom because, it just wasn't any use because they couldn't control her. They never could. And then, uh, watching all, talking about, me not having a social life about 10, 15 years after I graduated. Uh, I bumped into an old friend of mine and I went and stayed with her a couple nights and we started going through old pictures. And I was like, where's the pictures of me? She said, I don't want to bring them out. And I'm like, why? She said, because I don't want to get you upset. And I said, why would I get upset? Well, when she brought them out, I understood, uh, where I told you we didn't go out or nothing. A lot of it was because my grandparents were old fashioned. They figured where they messed up with my mom that they would try to fix me or my sister. We had to wear clothes that they wore in the 50s, in the 80s. Instead of having big hair, I had a boy haircut and looked like a boy. So, and my friend, she said she knew what was going on. She always did, her and her mom. But there was nothing they could do about it. There's my yapper.
hmm.
But
And
I
nobody ever
just
nobody ever called the police, I guess.
no. Back then they didn't do that. They didn't call protective services back then. So, and like with my mom, all her friends knew what she was doing, and they didn't do nothing. They knew that her boyfriends was messing around. They didn't do nothing. It was like everything was so hush hush, and nowadays it's not. Nobody keeps their mouth shut about nothing. But back in them days, it's something you didn't talk about. Uh, One thing I do remember, it was my aunt later on telling me that the night I left the campground and she died, after I had left, she stayed and my mom went to my aunt and said, look at these. And my aunt said, what's them? And back in the 80s, they used to give you uh, alcohol pamphlets, AA and stuff. They would have them in the library or they'd have them in the counseling rooms. And my aunt said that my mom said that I gave them to her. And my mom said, if my 9-year-old thinks I have a problem, maybe I do. But that was the last time anybody ever talked to her. So it never got past that. kind of wish my aunt never would have told me that, because, just it's just been a rough life, and I just don't know how to put it out there. And that's why I thought talking to you would be good.
No, and
But I
this
just,
is,
it's just so much abuse in my life. And it's okay. A lot of abuse from my husband. So, and now I'm alone up in a holler in a trailer, and I don't trust nobody.
well, you know what? Real quick, you mentioned your husband. Tell us about married life and how that
Oh
was.
gosh, and he such a narcissist. I'll tell you how bad he was. When I laid there in the hospital after open heart surgery, he was in the bathroom having sex and shooting dope with girls. Honestly, uh, he wasn't there. The only time he was there was to rub stuff in my face. Before the meth, I'd catch him doing stuff and would argue with him not to leave. So instead of me and him arguing, it turned into a fist fight. And then he would choke me out and leave me laying there and leave. And I'd wake up and there would be nobody there. But I mean, it was every day kicking me out and moving girls in, and me having to live on the streets. And then me going back to that because I didn't have nowhere else to go.
What's the longest you were ever on the streets?
I was homeless for 2 years after I got out of the hospital.
That's a
And then,
long time.
yeah, and I was sick. I was still sick. And I went to the homeless shelter they got here. And I think that was the best thing. That was the start of my beginning to getting better. And they helped me get a place. And like I said, I walked into that church that one night, and it was the first time I ever felt anything, with God or whatever. And since then, I've been just fighting to stay true to me. Been fighting to stay just so I could take care of myself. It's the first time I've ever done anything on my own to do anything for me since I've been on my own. I just used my crappy life as an excuse to continue the way I was living in it, and you can't. It'll kill you.
So, what was it actually like living on the streets? Where did you stay at night and stuff?
They got, well, you can, stay at some friends' house until you can't take staying there no more. I've slept in they got a tunnel. I've slept in the tunnel. We've slept by the riverside. I mean, slept in abandoned houses or trailers. It's awful, you know. And then before I went to the homeless shelter, I had a friend that lived down the street from me where I used to live with my husband, and she let me stay there. And that's when I found out about the homeless shelter. I guess I had too much pride to go to the homeless shelter to start with. So, but I swear that was the best thing. It was the start of me getting everything together. And it's been a long road, a long, hard road.
Tell us the things that you did to get better. What was the first thing in the process of your way to becoming, drug
Well,
free?
finding God was one. And, I used to spend 7, 8, 9 hours in a bathroom, by myself shooting dope. And when I started going to church, I was so lost and so didn't know what to do that I spent my whole days for months reading the Bible and writing Bible verses down. I have so many notepads full of just Bible verses that I thought that I needed to hear, need to listen to. So I keep writing them down and writing them down. And I did that the whole time I was at the homeless shelter. And then when I first got my first apartment, I did it for a while, and then COVID hit and they shut the churches down for a while. So I didn't get to do that for a while, but high rise for almost 2 years, but there was so much drugs running through that place that I didn't relapse, but it almost, I mean, opportunity was knocking, and I had to leave, and I bumped into this old woman who her husband was fixing a trailer up that they'd had for many, many years, and I told her my story from, everything. I didn't want, they're good people, and I didn't want them to find something out about me that I didn't tell them. So I told her my whole life story, and they like me because they see how much I'm trying. So I don't know. I just feel like I want to be an inspiration, try to help somebody, but I just feel like I'm still not done. I'm still not done with the healing process. It's a lot to get over.
What kind of things
And
are you
then
doing? I'm sorry, you go.
I was going to say, and then not having no family, it's hard because, I mean, I'm talking to my kids and stuff now, but they don't live here. They live in Michigan, so I'm pretty much up here by myself. So I don't know anybody because I never really got to know nobody around here because I was on the drugs, from the first time I got here. And I've been here almost 20 years now. So,
So what things are you currently doing to continue to heal?
I still do my Bible studies, and I still do my Celebrate Recovery steps. I started my own online business, influencer for health, wellness, and beauty, which is starting to take off right now. So I mean, I what I do is I stay away from everybody because I know that's what I need right now. Is it hard to be by myself sometimes? Yeah, but it's worth it. In the end, it's going to be worth it because this last year I've built a lot. I've come so far just in this year. I've come farther in this year than I have this whole time. So and then
One,
and then now too, because the open heart surgery and all that, now I'm having other health issues. So it seems like every time I get a step up 2 or 3, I fall down 5. So, but I handle that too. I speak to a counselor once a week. So I mean, this is right now, this is the only tools that I have. You know what I'm saying? So there's not much here in this state for people that are on drugs. They're trying to, make it better here. But I swear the meth has ruined it. It's ruined it here. So many people are on it. So I don't know. I don't know.
so real quick, going back to Celebrate Recovery, do they use the 12 steps? Because I've heard of them. I know
Well,
they're a religious-based program, but I don't know if they have their own steps or not. I'm just curious.
do you know what the Beatitudes are?
The what?
Do unto others as you do unto you.
Well, I've heard of that.
Okay, we go by that, and we'll do the Serenity Prayer. But they think, to me, I mean, I believe it too. The only way true healing is through Christ, because I tried everything else, Jim, and nothing worked. And, when they told me that my heart stopped, and like I told you, I don't remember nothing. I hear people say they see a light or see an old grandparent or something. I don't remember seeing nothing. It's black to me. And in my head, I thought that maybe I didn't have enough faith in God. So that's why I didn't see nothing. But Celebrate Recovery, it's steps that you can keep doing. I've been through the steps, but I'm going back to step 1. And then like they got a step 4, which is an accountability step. And that's for you and anybody that's done anything to you. And that's a hard one. It took me 6 months to complete it. So, I mean, if you want to work it works. It really does. But you got to want it. Anybody could sit here and we could talk till we're blue in the face. Unless that person you're talking to wants to get clean, they're not going to unless they want to. And I've seen so many people get pushed into it. And, it's just, I've been, people have been trying to push me into it my whole life. Until you are ready to quit, or it's got to be your rock bottom. And I just don't see anybody's rock bottoms no more, Jim. I really don't. Used to be when you went homeless, that was your rock bottom. Lose your kids, that's your rock bottom. But I don't know. I don't know. There's just so much crap going on out there right now. I don't know. I swear I don't. I feel like this pod isn't going to help anybody.
No, that's not true.
I swear, because I'm still in my recovery process, and I'm still here and over here, and being bipolar doesn't help it either.
No, I know all about that. I'm bipolar as well. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, I'm all around the table.
Dual diagnosis. Yeah. I'm writing an article right now on mental health and addiction. And there's a lot, a lot of different things going on, like you said, in people's heads.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I'm still healing. So it's hard, for me to say, I know I'm always going to be an addict. I know that. You just gotta get the steps and to know how to handle your triggers and you just gotta know life sucks. It does. And you just gotta know how to handle it. And I'll tell you what, I met a girl one time and I used to always use it. Oh, poor me, poor me, poor me. What this girl told me blew my mind, because I would have probably shot myself in the head. That's how bad she had it. And who was I to sit and whine about, to me, little things compared to what happened to her? So you just got to be humble. I think we're not live, right? You're just recording it.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
we're just
you need
recording.
to hold on to this one and let me write my testimony, because it's something that I haven't done yet. Maybe I could do that and put it all down in order.
Well,
But
yeah, we can talk about that, because I do have a section on our website where I post people's stories.
Okay. Because I think maybe that would be better, because I'm not a good speaker. I'm not. My bipolar, I can't stay at one subject. I'm always bouncing around.
No, you did a great job today.
Well, it's something that I ain't talked about in a long time.
Yeah, well, I only have one last question for you.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, do you have any advice for people watching and listening?
That there is hope. There really is hope, because if I can get my life together and to get where I am right now, I know there's hope for other people, because I have done this on my own. So just, if there's people that are wanting to help you, reach out to them. Let them help you. Let somebody help you that's been through it. I know opinions come from everywhere, but if you got somebody telling you and they have been there, you need to listen to them. Just like with me. I mean, never did I think that I'd ever end up in a hospital like I was, because to me, I've always been the strongest person I've ever met. And that don't make no sense, because I've always had a drug problem. But to me, I just think people just need to reach out. Don't be ashamed of what you've done, because there's people out there that's done worse. There's people out there that's done worse. And don't ever be afraid to tell. I mean, tell your story, or whatever it is that they're going through. I don't know. Like I said, Jim, I'm still in that healing process. So it's a journey. It's a journey. But if you're ready to take it, the grass is a lot greener on the other side. My God, it is. So much better.
Well, I think you should be absolutely proud of yourself. It's a lot of stuff you've done, a lot of stuff you've been through.
Right. It's hard. Still got a lot of work to do. But like I said, I mean, see, that's where you said that are you going to school right now, Jim?
No, not me.
Oh, see, I'm trying to get my student loan because I want to be a drug counselor.
Oh, that's great.
Because and that's another thing why I think that it took me so long to get clean. Because if you ain't been there, this is the way I see. I sit here and listen to these counselors telling me, "Oh my God, you dropped dirty," and whatever. But when you've been there, recovery is a long process, and people mess up all the time. But you cannot throw them away because they mess up. You know what I'm saying? But people that haven't been through, they don't know the agony, the dirt, and all that. So even people that have been in recovery for 10 years have messed up. You just gotta. I just think that, to me, the counselor that's counseling that person needs to know where they're coming from. I've been through. No, not I think that'd be a good thing for me, and I think that I would help a lot of girls. My next goal right there. So
Well, thank you for all that. I think it's a good place to wrap it up. Did you have anything else you wanted to add in?
I wish, like I said, I wish I could have put it all together better, but it was the first time that I tried to tell anybody. But when you get that testimony stuff going, just message me.
Absolutely. We'll talk about it after this podcast.
All right, I appreciate you, Jim. Thank you so much.
No, it's been a pleasure. So sit tight. Everyone watching and listening, I hope you liked what you heard and saw today. If you did, go below and give us a like. Also, subscribe to see when we upload new videos. We are also available on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We also have a website where there's plenty of resources and approved literature, and the website is www.addicts-anonymous.com. And like I said, there's plenty of stuff that you can check out there. So once again, I like what you heard and saw. I hope you like what you heard and saw. And until next time.